Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I'm joined by my co-host, Michael Reed. Hopefully, Hall will join us here momentarily, but the Burgundy Zone...
He might be kidnapped for all we know.
He might be. He might be. The Burgundy Zone is a part of the Frederick Podcast
Amazon
Network.
drivers.
You can find out more by going to www.listenfrederick.com. We are joined by my man, Steve Manella, PFF quarterback guru, our guy. What better day to kind of bring you on here to talk about everything with all of the quarterback news that's going on. But before we get into the nuts and the bolts here, like Reed likes to do in his spare time, I want to ask you, what was your
big mechanic?
What was your opinion of Rivera's decision to start Howell?
Well, you know, it was interesting because we all saw the news that Taylor was going to get the nod. But then obviously, I guess, from what I understand, Taylor kind of went to the coaching staff and said, hey, Sam deserves it. So they kind of made a late switch. But I'm glad. I know a lot of us in the fan base and on Twitter, of course, have been asking for Sam Howell for a few weeks now, wondering what the heck's going on. So I'm excited. He was awesome 2 years ago in North Carolina. Was projected to be a first-round pick.
The number one pick for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Some said number one pick. You're right. Yep. And then later on this past season, or his last college season last year, rather, things kind of fell through and they weren't as great. So I think he slipped due to that. His size also was a concern. You know how that goes. But, I watched a clip the other day of Daniel Jeremiah, and he said that when they were doing the draft and he got picked, He said the same thing. He goes, man, this guy's got a live arm. He's definitely going to be able to play in the league. So I'm excited. I know everyone else is too. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and the one thing I do want to say, that Jeremy Fowler report about Taylor convincing Ron to let him start, I will say he did backtrack that later on. And thankfully to Tim Towner, who educated me on that.
Yeah.
And because the one thing that I looked at it is, Steve, I looked at it as if they wanted to see how he was in practice today with the ones before making the decision public, because if he goes out there, doesn't look like he's meshing it all with them, it wouldn't make sense to start him. But if he comes out motivated, looking like he could start, that makes sense that they would make it public in that sense. Because in my opinion, I thought on Sunday night that Howell was starting in this game. I mean, that's just how I viewed it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, having studied quarterback, knowing the quarterback position as well as you do, what does Sam Howell bring to the table? What's something that Commanders fans can expect? I know we got a little glimpse of it in the preseason, but live action's a little bit different. What can you expect from Sam Howell?
It is a great question. One thing that'll jump off, and I'm sure you guys have seen some of the reports from practice, but arm, arm, ball jumps out of his hand. He gets it out quick, real good, quick release, smooth. His base is really good drop that he has. Hips are good. So he's one of those guys that, man, you could see like, oh, wow, I could see why he was, a first-round projection, because he's very, very mechanically sound. And that's huge to have, even more so than a guy like Carson Wentz, who kind of, he jumped up the draft boards because of his mobility and his big arm. But was he really that mechanically sound? And he's shown in the league, no, he isn't. But Howell is that guy. I think at least someone that's going to be on the team for a while. I'm not saying he's going to be our franchise quarterback, but hell, it'd be nice if he was.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
We find a little Dak in the mid to late rounds.
Yeah, exactly. A little Dak, little Russ. Well, Russ was a little earlier, but still,
so maybe another Kirk.
Yeah, maybe another guy. That's a great. How many of us would want Kirk back today?
Trying to get
hey, I'm not gonna lie, right? I would take Kirk right now, just with the way that our offense is. Like, I know I'm gonna get killed for it.
Yeah,
but
you might get stabbed later on.
I love my cousins.
Coming through the window, like, ow, ow. No, but Steve, my question to you, because we had Logan on Tuesday, and he kind of described like why a quarterback would not be ready for the NFL. So if you can go into detail with Sam Howell, what have you seen from Sam, maybe in his senior year at North Carolina? Like, what are some of the things that jump out to say that he's not ready yet?
Well, guys will throw the fact that, North Carolina wasn't actually playing, teams like you see in the SEC or even some defenses in the Big Ten, like Michigan or Ohio State with the talent level. But, they played some good teams, obviously Clemson, Florida States of the world. North Carolina State's no like pushover usually. So it's not like he was out there playing, independent league or something. So, he's a good player, and that's the thing. And I know that's why they drafted him, because they saw the potential too, and that's why when he was picked so late, that you had a lot of guys, scouts on TV and stuff, saying, "Man, I can't believe Sam Howell's still available." So I think that last year he did have some rough games. I think that that kind of hurt him. But overall, I'm excited. And hey, like we said, guys, at the end of the day, what's the worst going to happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, we've been a fan of this team forever. So, if he doesn't pan out, then shoot, on to the next.
We're right back to where we were 2 weeks ago.
Right.
My next question for you, because I wanted to branch off of that, but basically, are you okay with Sam playing against the Cowboys when they're playing for something? Because that's been one of the concerns of the people who do not want Sam to play in this game. They think that this could be a detriment to his future. Do you feel why is that the case?
Yeah, you saw it happen with a lot of guys in the past, like a David Carr when he was in Houston and the line was atrocious. And, some guys will use that kind of as I don't want to say an excuse, because it's very hard to play at that level. So, but he had a line that was bad and he got beat up a lot. So you kind of see that, you saw it a little bit, last year with the Dolphins line, because it wasn't that great. And Tua was, they didn't really want to rush Tua out there. So, I could see it, but this is the last game of the season. Yeah, it's Dallas, and yes, Parsons is coming at them, and obviously they have a really good defense. But honestly, what better test though for Sam Howell? The hated rival. You know what I mean? He can make a name for himself right out the gate. Hey, he comes out, somehow leads us to a victory
Commander's
Sunday.
Legend.
He's a man. We're talking Sam Howell jerseys for next preseason already.
Yeah. That's so funny that you said that. It's so funny you said. I was on Twitter Spaces earlier, and people were talking about how the cult of Taylor is a distraction to the team, to the organization, to coaches. Where if he's there as a backup, that's always going to be there to bring him in, right? Well, my argument is if he's not that good, and if he hasn't done all that much, how hard is it going to be to overtake that excitement? To take that admiration from Taylor. Yeah. It's not that hard then if he is that bad.
Shouldn't.
So
right, yeah, it shouldn't. Taylor is like I hate to say it, this word, because it's thrown around a lot, but he's like a local legend now in the DC area, and even actually nationwide. I live in OKC, and, obviously I have some friends that are not Commander fans or other teams, of course, mainly Dallas, unfortunately. But they're like, hey, man, why the heck did Heineke not play? And why did Wentz? Heineke's better, blah, blah, blah. So it's not just the DC area. It's pretty much everywhere now. He's kind of really ran with it. Good for him. I hope he lasts in the league as a backup at least. You know what I mean? I don't know if he'll start next year or anywhere else, but at least if he's with us, he'll be a good backup. So
and that's on the Commanders Reddit page, somebody right after the Wentz game this past week, a Patriots fan commented on there, and he was like, "What's up? Why didn't you guys start Heineke?" It's like, well, what was going on with that? So you're right. But people around the country, I think they all like Taylor Heineke. But all right, so let's say that you are Scott Turner, but you have your mind. Luckily, you're not using Scott Turner's football IQ. What type of offense are you running for Sam Howell? What are you trying to do to this Dallas defense?
Well, yeah. First, Scott. I've kind of been a Scott backer, actually. He's had a tough,
I just like making fun.
He's had a tough go. Yeah, man. He's had a tough go.
He's got one of those faces.
I know. He's had a tough go. But going back to the game plan, obviously, you would think it's going to be simple, right? A lot of quick game, a lot of quick passes to get the ball out of his hand, get kind of in rhythm to start. I hope we can see at least a deep shot or two to Terry. That'd be amazing. You know what I mean?
Especially against Trayvon.
Yeah, man. I know. Yeah. So I would like to see something like that, or at least a couple of deep shots. We have the weapons, Dotson. Also, you can't forget about him. Obviously, been a great pickup. So it's Curtis Samuel, who's staying healthy.
His former teammate.
Yes.
That's what I was going to say. Is I hope it's Diami Brown who catches a long ball and Trayvon.
There you go.
Because that's something that will mess with your psyche. Somebody you don't really know burning you like that. You're like, wait, what's going on here? People are going to pick.
Yeah, so hopefully they can let him open up a little bit. But I wouldn't expect and maybe I'll do a reverse jinx, but I wouldn't expect a 300-yard passing game from him this week. But, hey, if he does, shoot, man, I'm all in, baby.
Hey, you telling me first play of the game, Scott Turner's not going to be like, hey, if they're not doing the 8 playoff seeds, let's just take a deep bomb real fast, catch them off guard.
Let's just do it. Yeah, let's just do it.
Absolutely right. No, my next question for you, Chris Paul. Actually, no, before I get into Chris Paul, I know you just talked about it briefly, but with Sam Howell, like, what are your expectations? Because I think some people are looking at this game saying, well, are you going to be judging Sam Howell if he doesn't play well? Like, for me, it's a simple way of saying I just want to see him execute the offense, move the chains, not abandon the pocket too early, right? Just be able to get the ball in the playmaker's hands in the right situation. So in your opinion, what are your expectations for Howell in this game?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that we do need to understand he's a rookie, right? It's his first action. He's playing against a top 10 defense, this top 1 or 2 pass rusher in the league, and Micah Parsons. So I don't think we can go into this game expecting him to go lights out. But I'd like you just said, hey, let's see a 3rd and 5 conversion here and there. Let's see what and we've got to remember too, guys. Sam Howell can move. Yeah. He's not just a pocket guy. He can use his legs. He showed it in the preseason. So let's see if he can pick up some crucial, 2nd and long or 3rd and long, something that the other 2 guys really couldn't do. So that's what I'll be looking for. And like you said, executing the offense, getting in rhythm with the guys, kind of giving us all some hope that, hey, maybe we don't have to draft Will Levis with the 10th pick or 14th or whatever we're gonna have. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
Show some stuff we can build off of going into next year. I think that would probably be the most important. But so you look at Sam Howell, and I mean, you look at, like we talked about, his senior season or his final season in North Carolina. He lost his top 2 wide receivers, his top 2 running backs, numerous offensive linemen, and then you talked about the running game. That's where he really started to show with his legs. Was that final year at North Carolina, and he did a fantastic job. We saw it again in the preseason. Are you telling Sam Howell not to run because it's the final game of the season? You don't want to. You're going to have some Taylor Heineke action going on? Or are you telling him, hey man, just go balls out?
Man, just go out there and play, man. Do your thing, dude. Go out there, have some
fun. Win this fan base over.
Yeah, win the fan base over. Hey, if some crazy way happens and they do add an 8 seed and we win and the Hawks lose, hey, ride that train into the wild card weekend against it'd probably be Philly, I guess, would be the number 1 seed. So if this is how they're talking about,
we beat
them once. So, I don't know. And crazy things have happened. We've seen this, guys. Crazier things have happened. So, obviously, I'm not saying he's going to win all of his games, but still, get in there, play well. We'll see what happens.
And to wrap this up, Steve, I only have a couple more questions for you. But looking at this game on Sunday versus Dallas, will we get the white Howell or black Howell?
That's a great question.
It's a stupid question. Don't answer that.
I'm not going to answer it, though.
Chris Paul is playing this weekend, obviously starting on the offensive line. Somebody said, what would be your reaction to him playing well on the offensive line? Like, doesn't get blown up, does pretty well against Parsons when matched up on him. What would be your opinion there, and do you like this move?
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if he did not get blown up, right? Because this offensive line has had some issues, man. It's been, I think some of it was on Wentz, too, holding the ball a little too long. But, even against the Browns, man, Myles Garrett and those guys were just dominating. So it would be nice if he didn't and they played well as a unit. Obviously, he's going to need some help with Parsons. They'll have to chip him, all that stuff. Maybe Logan get in there and hit him a couple times. But, we'll see. But yeah, overall, I mean, I wouldn't expect. I would expect rather Dallas to get at least a couple of sacks in this game. Let's be honest.
Yeah, right. And I just want to address one thing. I've said a lot about Micah Parsons, and a lot of people have talked a lot of crap about it. I just want to list something because I feel like I'm vindicated at this point. Micah Parsons, 63 tackles, 13 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. DeMarcus Lawrence, 63 tackles, 6 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. Now, does that seem like Micah Parsons is a linebacker or a defensive end pass rusher? Again, he is not a Pro Bowl linebacker. He is a pass rusher. I am tired of hearing these people who don't know football talk up a Cowboys player to diminish Jamin Davis. It's ridiculous. Now to wrap this up, now that I'm flustered because I'm
I
pissed off
agree.
about that crap.
Well, also for Chris Paul, it's crazy that like just last year he was in the NBA this offseason, and now he's going to start on the offensive line for the Commanders. I'm super excited for the guy.
Small guy.
Yeah, small guy, but
I
hey,
met Chris Paul in Rockville, dude.
did you? Was he with a Kardashian? Because Kanye
No,
said
he was not.
that. Okay, all right.
That's what Kanye
snap.
said.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to get into what Kanye said. All right, but last question I have for you,
Please.
Steve. Heading into the offseason, your top 3 needs for this football team, just in case they don't make the playoffs, and this is whatever it is, but obviously we know the arrow's pointing down in that sense. But what are the 3 needs for you, positional-wise, going to – actually, no, not even positional need. If you want to go into, like, front office and other stuff like that, what do you think?
Oh, man, So front office, obviously not even just front office. Let's sell the team first, right? Let's get Bezos and Jay-Z in there if that's who the two are going to take, whatever. So let's do that. Get Dan back to England or wherever he's going to be living, they say. But on the field, in all seriousness, I think obviously O-line. We got to build this O-line back up. Trent Williams and Brandon Sheriff, we've said this before, aren't coming back, walking through the door. So those guys are gone. So we got to get some O-line. So, I would hopefully draft early linemen if we're not taking quarterback. Quarterback is second on that list. I mean, it's the number 1 position. You got to have a quarterback. So let's hope Howell does end up playing well and matures, and we can at least – he'll be there next year anyway, so at least let's hope he can play. And then 3, I'd say probably – I know linebacker is still a need, but Davis has played well. Yeah. So linebacker or corner. We do need some corner help.
Huge.
Yeah, it's huge. I like Fuller. I do like Fuller.
Yeah.
But he's been burnt a lot,
Mm-hmm.
So St. Juice has been hurt. It's been, he looked good when he was healthy.
But good luck getting St. Juice for an entire season. The dude falls on the ground. All of a sudden, he sprained his ankle. It's like that for the last 2 years. I love the guy, but hey, I'm just being honest.
Are you saying that because he's Canadian? Or
I'm saying that because his last name is throws me off.
Yeah, it really does.
Speaking of Kanye, I'm just kidding.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Steve, I can't thank you enough, brother, for coming on here and joining us, being able to talk this crazy week. Because we originally thought it was Taylor and Howell possibly playing, and then it switches to just Sam Howell, and then we hear the playoff chances of possibly a thing if the NFL allows the 8th playoff spot to open. And if that's the case, that's going to put a thorn into things because obviously we don't know what he's going to choose at that point, but hopefully he sticks with Howell. We don't know.
He's gonna say we're going with Wentz in this game, and then when we lose, he's gonna say I didn't know we could have been eliminated right there. I'm sorry, guys.
So rude. All right, thank you so much, Steve. You have a good night, brother. Get some sleep.
All right, thanks, guys. Y'all be good.
Thank you, man.
Too, man. I'll try to be good, man.
All right, yeah.
All right, everybody. We spoke with Steve Manella. What a crazy week this has been.
It's awesome.
Oh my goodness.
I love it. Love it for us. Love that. Love the drama for us.
It's been kind of depressing. Like I already did a film breakdown on what's his face out of Penn State, the cornerback. Why am I not Joey Porter Jr.? Why can I not think of his name? I just did it on the other day. I've already started that, which is the offseason process, getting ready for the draft, and it's so unfortunate because you still got 1 game to go. And like I think the worst part about it all is that they picked this to be like, you remember the whiteout game?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember. This is supposed to be the game, and really up until last week, it should have been the game. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. It still might be. Hey, if we can get that 8th spot, anything can happen. Now, will it? Who knows? But it's exciting to think about.
Yeah, looking at the injury report that came out today over the past couple of days, it's been like literally the entire starting group. It's just not there.
And hey, that's a good thing to get some young guys, get them out there, get them some experience. I'm hoping, but you never want to see that your entire list of starters being out there.
No, especially not with the offensive line as well. But I want to get into our fan questions here, brother. And this one is from the Colonel, who just got this to me ASAP. What is your honest opinion from you guys? Was it a mistake not to bring Landon Collins back, considering his performance of late with the Giants?
Landon Collins, shout out to Landon Collins. He has been doing a good job. And I don't – so during that winning streak, I would have said no. Like, I love the way our defense is playing. The last month or so, the last 3 games, I'd say, our defense, it's been disappointing. So you could always use another weapon, but I just don't know. I love the way Derek Forrest and Cameron Curl have been playing, but with the injury to Curl the last couple of weeks, It's tough to say, man. And to Holcomb, I mean, Collins could really fill in a couple of those spots, but I guess I see the whole money situation. But hindsight 2020, we wouldn't have brought in Wentz, so we wouldn't have had to cut him.
I'll say it wasn't a mistake. One of the reasons I feel that way is because I think kind of the issue wasn't the safety position this year, it was more the corners and other things attributing to that. So I don't think Landon would have helped in that regard. But that being said, I do want to say, like, no disrespect to Landon for saying no, but the dude did help win me the fantasy championship because I had 3 Bengals players in the fantasy championship, and I the day of, I went and scooped up the Giants defense facing Indy, and I was like, this is what I'm going with. And Landon's pick 6, crazy enough, the Joe Burrow touchdown, the catch by T. Higgins, and then the extra point by McPherson gave me literally 1.5 over the other guy. And so that's why I'm sitting here happy because we don't know what's going to go on with the whole app and everything like that.
Yeah.
So either way, I'm sitting pretty, but it just goes to show you that Landon Collins helped win me that championship.
They didn't just announce awesome. They didn't just announce you as the winner.
No.
Get paid out in dollar increments.
Now, this next question from the Colonel: is there a possibility the coaching staff will do something smart, like not playing injured stars like Chase Young and Logan Thomas in a meaningless game?
Hey, well, now it could be meaningful. We don't know yet, obviously, but if they do have that 8th and final playoff spot, there's a chance that this very well could be meaningful. And Chase, it's frustrating, but I want to see Chase play as much as possible. But of course, I'm a fan. I want to see everybody start as much as possible. But yeah, the injuries thing. It is concerning, and if there's not an 8th playoff spot, if we're not playing for anything, I say just let's see what some of these young guys can do. However, I'd also love to play spoiler for Dallas, so I'm up in the air right now, man. It is what it is. Yeah.
Now, so with Chase, because of the injury and his rehab, I think that he should play because it's good for him. I know that Ron Rivera talked about it the other day and saying that like he saw Chase make a move,
confident too,
like made a move where he had to step outside and he kind of like not hesitated, but it took a little extra to do that. And Rivera said, like, I saw that, and Chase knew what play he was talking about, and saying that, like, yeah, I got to, trust myself, being able to build that back. And he talked to Chase about Saquon Barkley, how he didn't look normal the first year back, the second year he did. And so that's what the kind of emphasis he was getting across. So, like, getting that mental aspect up and running with Chase is important, and more reps is going to help with that. He's already sat enough this year. I don't think that he would be willing to sit again if he has the opportunity to, especially going against Dallas. I think that he'd be licking his chops for it. But the other guys, I would say that. Like Terry McLaurin, I don't think Terry should play. As much as I love Terry McLaurin, and Terry McLaurin will probably smack me in the face for saying that. Yeah. All I'm saying is this would be the worst possible time for Terry to get injured.
Yeah, let's not paint him as aggressive. We don't know if he would slap you, but he'd probably tell you to stop. He'd probably say, I'm playing, sir. Yeah. But we don't know. Maybe he's violent. I don't know. We didn't think Marvin Harrison. We didn't think Marvin Harrison was.
Dude, we didn't know Marvin Harrison was an OG.
We didn't know he was that gangster.
The mustache was hiding so much. We just hiding right behind it.
The mustache and the dad cut.
The mustache and the dad cut. I want to get your opinion real quick. What did you think of the quarterback decision by Rivera? Because I feel like this is an interesting topic because a lot of people are saying that Rivera was forced into this decision. What do you think?
No. I mean, a lot of people, of course, are going to say that. I think that there was a premature report that came out that said that Taylor Heineke was going to start. I don't necessarily think that Rivera and them leaked that out because that came out, 9 a.m. out of Ashburn. They didn't talk to anybody yet. I mean, they weren't really releasing any info. And plus, the Commander's social media, they're always on top of stuff. They put stuff out immediately. They didn't put out the whole thing that Taylor Heineke was starting. The moment Sam Howell was announced, they put that out. But, I mean, Taylor Heineke was supposed to be starting for a few hours. I remember I was getting blown up about it. I think that somebody jumped the gun, a reporter, and they put out a report that maybe they had heard from somebody that they thought was the case. I don't think Taylor Heineke went in there and alphaed Ron Rivera. If he did, shout out to Taylor. That's an awesome thing to do. But I think that he figured he was going to go with Sam Howell the entire time. And there's probably just a premature report. I don't trust the media, though. You know what I'm saying? I live in a bomb bunker from the 20s. I have prematured. I don't trust the media.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. But especially with Jeremy Fowler, how he walked back that report later in the day. And the one thing I will say is, like, it doesn't make sense for them to go down that route. Now, if they're trying to screw with Dallas and making sure that they don't prep for Sam as much as possible, then you would come out and say that Taylor Heineke could possibly start. And that's why that's why you would have to say that. I don't think that Taylor went in there and told Ron Rivera, no, dude, don't start me, put Howell in. I don't think that's how it went. What most likely happened is that reporter heard Taylor say, I kind of told coach I don't want to do it, let Howell go in. So it's the perception that gets changed that Rivera is the beta in this situation and Taylor is the alpha, which is a whole sort of psychological manipulation. But the fact is if that is the case, if Taylor did alpha Rivera, we have a serious problem on our hands. And that is not the MO of Rivera. That is literally the number one objective for Rivera as a head coach is the leadership, control, having the structure, everyone in place. That would be very concerning to me, and I don't think that is the case at the moment.
Yeah.
I think I think everyone is just there's a fire because they knocked out of the playoffs, and the way that they were knocked out of the playoffs, I think is fueling that fire a little bit more. But this is just adding to it of the mob mentality of saying these people are stupid and they don't know what they're doing. And this is why they get paid a heck of a lot more money than you. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, not more money than me. No, nobody gets paid more money than me. That's for sure. I get paid a lot of money, a lot. Speaking of which, I need to re-sign my contract with this show, or else I'm going to start holding out.
There's a contract? Who signed it?
Hall did. Hall sent it to me.
It must have been Jim Zorn.
Yeah, no, they're nice people.
They're nice people.
Yeah.
No, like I just find it kind of ridiculous because I've seen it all season long. I've seen it before as well with the whole Dwayne Haskins thing, but people portraying the thing that like Rivera doesn't do anything. Like, what do you do here? Like, what do you contribute to? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, if you don't understand by now that he has trust in both of his coordinators, he helps Jack with being able to game plan, give his opinion on stuff, but he doesn't micromanage. And, like, that's my whole thing is a lot, like, it just, we're making something out of nothing just to do it. I looked at this one tweet of a press conference from Byron Leftwich, and all of these people comment, all these Tampa Bay fans saying this dude sucks, we're 24th in scoring percentage in the red zone, what is he talking about? These guys are dumb, they get dumber and dumber by the day. And I was like, whoa, this is just like a Scott Turner press conference. This is crazy.
Right. Yeah.
It's everywhere in the league, man.
That's true. Yeah, everywhere in the league. There was a little bit here where, not even a little bit. Remember all the hate for Kyle Shanahan when Kyle Shanahan was here? There was a lot of hate for Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan, yeah, he's not one of the best play callers in the NFL, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, I want to go to our next question here. I'm trying to find it from Jeff Miles, who submitted it in the Discord chat server. He actually sent it in yesterday, and I want to make sure that I get back to it and be able to read it because it's actually a really good one. I'm trying to push this off as far as I can, and you're not helping me read at all.
That's what I do.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I can't find it. I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm scrolling. We just do too many of these dang messages, man.
Yeah. Do you? I like the message. I like the Discord. Discord's fun. Discord's a fun
So
place.
this question from Tim Towner. This was yesterday. Is Jeremy Fowler camping out in Ashburn? I do not think so, right? He communicated with someone this morning at 9 a.m. that was the word he got. So he heard from a guy. You can bet your ass it was not Ron Rivera, as he did not seem to appreciate this being a topic of conversation, and any official decision like this does not get announced, rather it has been made apparent at practice, which that was yesterday.
Yeah.
And look what happened today when they announced it with Sam Howell, which goes to show you.
Tim Towner's the human genius, though. Tim Towner's always on top of his stuff. Tim Towner knows what he's talking about.
Dude, he does. And he really, I really do appreciate him and how much he contributes to us. But, all right, now that we're at the last game of the season, has your MVP of the season changed? I know that you kind of said you agree with Logan, Brian Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, I agreed with it to an extent. I mean, honestly, if wins are the most important thing. So if you are going to correlate your MVP, the most valuable player, to who determined the most amount of wins, is it Brian Robinson? Because I would say you can go Brian Robinson. Probably Terry's more likely the MVP or Jonathan Allen. So Deron Payne with what he did, Cam Curl. But dude, Taylor Heineke's got to be up there for what he did contributing to this win streak. And I know a lot of people aren't going to like that. Well, actually, now they probably will because so many people hate Wentz. But Taylor Heinicke, we don't win those games without Taylor Heinicke. I think that's completely obvious at this point after seeing what Carson Wentz did. So he's got to be in the conversation too. And I know that the offense did change, and it was a heavy dose of Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson while he was healthy. But man, you really got to give it to Taylor Heinicke for what he did this season. I just think that that's something that we can all look back on. If we didn't lose the last few games and tie with the Giants, I think then you'd be looking back at this and being like, Taylor Heineke, man, that guy, we'd look back on this fondly. Now, I feel like a lot of people are going to forget. But.
Yeah, look, and just thank you to Taylor for everything that he's helped contribute to this team. I feel like there's a message being portrayed that Taylor won those games. I think that's a team win. I think that's what it should be attributed to. It should not be attributed strictly
But
to
if
Taylor.
Carson starts those games, do you still think that we win those games?
No.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
Well,
unfortunately,
because
I know what you mean, because Taylor definitely didn't win us most of those games. Like, let's be real.
I heard a whole bunch of people, I saw it for many, many weeks, say that Carson Wentz can do what Taylor does.
Yeah.
Easily, without a doubt, just wait till he's healthy. Okay, man, let's see it. Let's roll it out. Then tell me him throwing that ball into the dirt and look me in the eye and tell me that that's true. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't mean to be rude. I'm just being honest. Now, this question is from Jeff. I finally found it, Jeff. I'm sorry.
There you go.
If and only if we beat the Cowgirls specifically because of the quarterback play, whether it be from Heineke or Howell, does that player deserve a right to compete for the QB job next year?
Yeah, so I think if you do re-sign Taylor Heineke, I love the decision just as a bridge guy, as a backup guy. I hear what people are saying about the people are always going to want him to come in, but everybody does that with the backup quarterback anyway, unless your starting quarterback's blowing out. Sam Howell, I think, has a real chance here. If he goes out there and, like we talked about, just show things that he can build on, then I think with what he did in the preseason, you are going to look in there and maybe all of a sudden quarterback, you're not rushing to trade up and find somebody or bring in some expensive vet at $30 million a year like Derek Carr. Maybe all of a sudden you're like, okay, hey, we can draft somebody in round 2. We can bring him in. They can compete with Sam Howell, and we'll just see who wins this. But if Howell goes out there and lays an egg, I still think you can feel pretty good about him being a backup if you want to let Taylor Heineke go out there and, go find another place to play.
Yeah, I think that regardless of how this game goes, I mean, if Sam Howell comes in there and looks like Carson Wentz, then he still competes for the job next year. I don't think that you're in a position to say that anybody has gotten the job at this point in time, especially off of one game. Even if it is bad, I think Sam deserves the ability to fight for that job next year because this isn't the end-all be-all for him. So I don't really think that it goes in that direction. I think more so this is just for evaluation. Because this is way more valuable than preseason film where you have, kind of second, third squad guys out there. This is a playoff team. There's a very good opponent, good defense. You could kind of see in real time how Sam Howell has adjusted, how he has taken the hints, the teaching that's been given to him by his quarterback coach, by the OC, and seeing how he has adjusted in that time. I'll tell you at North Carolina, I did not think he was a first-round pick. I did not think he was a second-round pick after his senior year. When I watched and did his film breakdown, he escaped the pocket way too early. He didn't trust his offensive line, obviously, for good reasons, right? I wholeheartedly agree with you on that, Brett. But the fact is, he showed happy feet. And that is my one concern with Sam Howell going into this game. I don't want to tell him to run whenever the hell you want. I want you to throw the football, but run if you need to escape pressure or if you literally the play calls for it. That's just how I would go into saying it. Because the last thing you want to do is him turn into Malik Willis. And there is a reason why Malik Willis is not starting for the Tennessee Titans this week, and it's because he can't throw the football very well. He just wants to run everywhere.
Yeah, and the good thing about Sam Howell, I think, with his skill set is he's like a perfect combination of Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke, with his stature kind of being similar to Taylor Heineke's ability to run, but then also has that Howell-itzer of an arm, just like Carson Wentz, So I think that hopefully Scott Turner will use that to his advantage and kind of combine what he was doing and let Howell go out there and light this biatch up. But I don't know. I don't. Scott Turner's been so hit or miss. Like there's been games where I've been like, damn, Scott Turner. Like the second half against Detroit, I was like, that's one of the best play calling games I've seen from Scott Turner. The second half, obviously, first half was terrible, but he redeemed himself. So he's had his moments where he's done a fantastic against the Eagles, for example. When we beat them, he did a masterful job. Like that was one of the best offensive coordinator performances that I can remember in terms of play calling. Like just looking back at it and being like, dude, he did everything he could to not let the Eagles win that game from the offensive side.
Yeah.
But he's also had games where you've been like, oh, Scott, what are you doing? And that's been most of the games. So the potential is there.
That's the worst part.
But yeah,
it's like I was so mad at Scott, like how that game ended, just how the offense was and everything like that. And like, I've said some things about Scott and possibly like, just looking around other places and like hearing his press conference and everything. And I'm like, I don't really want to punch a guy in the face. I kind of feel bad for him in a way. Because he doesn't seem like a cocky douche, but maybe he is off camera. It's just all a mask, you could say.
I would too if my father was Norvert Turner. What is Norv short?
Norvert.
What is Norv short for? Norvert, I'm pretty sure. Or Norvum.
No, was it Norval?
No, yeah, that's what they want you to think. It's Norvert.
I'm pretty sure it was Norval.
No, I think that you're wrong, though. It's Norvert.
No, I'm right. Now, I will say this. If Sam Howell wins the game against the Cowboys, I'm sending him porterhouse steak.
Yeah.
He can eat it if he wants.
Yeah. No, he will, because
I think we should all be honest and say he would be a franchise quarterback if he ate red meat. We would all agree on that.
100%. I think Joe Rogan would be very, very disappointed in him. He's not eating any of that elk. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think Andrew Tate would say, "You do not have a Bugatti."
I've never even heard him talk before, but that's hilarious. This question from Tim Towner. How much rope do you think Ron Rivera was going to give Carson Wentz before he would have switched to Taylor Heineke? If you were Ron Rivera and if Carson Wentz doesn't break his finger versus Chicago, at what point would you have made a change? Never. One more loss. Keep in mind that we beat Chicago, Green Bay, Indianapolis on basically a last play and lost to Minnesota the same way.
So was that at what point do you go back to Wentz?
No, basically what he's asking is
would Wentz have been benched?
How much rope do you think Ron would have given him versus the Browns, basically?
Versus how much rope would Heineke have been given versus the Browns?
Wentz
played
basically,
the whole
all right, so if he doesn't get injured with his finger, do you think that he would have stayed with Wentz the whole season?
Oh. I mean, well, they did win that game against the Bears. I do think that he would have went into the following week starting, but with whatever happened, then I think that the leash was already kind of wearing a little bit thin. But yeah, since he beat the Bears, I think he would for sure go into that following week as a starter. But I don't know, man. I have a hard time seeing Ron admitting that he made a mistake trading for Wentz early on in the season. You know, I think that he would try to ride it out as long as he could until it crashed and burned. And that's Ron. That's what makes Ron hard-headed, you know. But hey, good for it. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Hey, some would say. Most wouldn't, but some would. So.
All I'm saying is that injury to the finger seemed very coincidental because I was very adamant about saying I thought Taylor Heineke was better for the offense at that time.
Yeah.
Just because of what I was seeing. And look, he had that messed up finger, but they still won the game. He actually threw the ball pretty well as well.
And you're forgetting something. Remember how he actually messed up his finger when that fan savagely attacked him and tried to rip off his wedding ring in the preseason? Remember that? Training camp? Yeah, he didn't. What they showed on video is him asking, Carson saying no. Well, little known fact is when the video cut, he attacked Carson and actually pulled it off, dislocated his finger. That's 100% true. You can believe me or not.
I will say this. Like I said this about Taylor. Remember, because somebody asked us, do you think that Carson would be put in over Taylor? To some extent, I didn't think it would happen unless it was like with an injury. But I put the caveat in there that regardless, they would chalk it up to injury. They wouldn't just say it was the demotion, a bench. And so
right.
That's how I'm kind of looking at
Wentz did have surgery on his finger, though, didn't he?
Sure.
Usually don't go into surgery. Yes, usually don't go into surgery if it's just like we're pretending.
No. I know. But what I'm saying is, like, was it?
He's committed if he did. Yeah.
My whole point was he finished that game against Chicago, which kind of tells you that he could have kept playing, but since he was not playing anymore, that was probably a good time just to say, all right, I'll just get surgery on it. You know what I mean?
I do remember him walking off the field after the Chicago win and being like, man, my finger is messed up. My finger. I think he was talking to Taylor. Maybe it was a halftime, something. But thank God that happened, you know. Otherwise, this season would never thought I'd say that.
Don't let them hear you say that, man.
I don't care. Look, honestly, I'm super happy Carson Wentz got hurt when he did.
No, and look, I like Taylor a lot, and I felt like the move last week to Carson was the right move. I felt like the team needed a spark, just like earlier in the season with Taylor Heineke. So I agreed with the move. It blows my mind how bad he looked. And the worst part is that, like, Scott kind of changed. We heard Logan say where he changed the offense back to what it was like early in the season. And it's kind of like that. Success. And it's like that kind of decision. Like, why? Why would you do that? Like, that is nonsensical. That doesn't make any sense at all. Why you had barely any success back then, one win, and then now you want to bring it back after you've actually developed wins on a new. That makes no sense, man.
Yeah, no, that was that's kind of odd. But also, like, Carson Wentz, it's one of those things where, like, we've seen him for so long with Philly, And like, there's the good Carson Wentz, and when Carson's good, Carson is fantastic. I mean, Carson does some things that are
You're right.
unbelievable. When Carson is bad, it's the exact opposite. And we've gotten the bad Carson Wentz majority of the season. I'll just say that, and it's frustrating. But yeah, it is what it is.
Well, it wasn't all on him either.
No,
Obviously,
for
the
sure.
offensive line,
No.
they were
Severely
a lot of issues.
underperformed this season.
They were
the number 6 unit according to PFF last year.
It's just in those type of moments, you would expect a former MVP level type of quarterback to play a certain way, right? And that's all I'm saying. And it's unfortunate because I didn't say this publicly. I didn't say it on Twitter. I didn't say it on here. But to me, it looked like Carson Wentz was scared shitless, to be perfectly honest. Like, if nerves were measured by RPMs, he was in the red for that game. Yeah. And the reason why I knew that is when he threw that ball into the dirt, he then tries to make it up, or before that, he overthrew the screenplay on the second play of the game. So then he throws that ball into the dirt, which tells you he's trying to make the throwing adjustment in his head, and he's that far off, which tells you he is all over the place inside. And that's what probably is the most concerning and sad part about it, is because not only did the team need it, that he needed himself. And that was
because let's be honest, man, there's not many teams that are going to take a swing on Carson Wentz, even to be a backup quarterback at this stage. And it's nothing to do with his play. I mean, if there weren't reports about him being a bad teammate, which I don't know if they're true or not, I don't think so. I mean, everybody kind of seems to like Carson, but at the same time, he does seem to rub people wrong. And that happened in Philly, that happened in Indy, that kind of seems like it happened here. I mean, obviously the people were obsessed with Taylor Heineke, the teammates. They were never like that with Carson. And Carson, his career is
stop ginger hate.
Yeah, no, they should. But at the same time, like, maybe that's part of it. He doesn't have a soul. That's probably a big thing about it.
There's definitely something about it. No, I'm not really sure. I don't think that he rubbed people the wrong way. Like, I don't think he had an attitude.
I think that he rubbed a couple
Deshaun
people
Watson the wrong way.
Yeah.
Now, this next question is from Meese21.
Is there a wrong way to rub Deshaun Watson? I don't think so.
This next question, since Howell will be playing against the Cowboy starters, what does he have to do to show he's a number one quarterback going forward? How much will this game change things at quarterback going forward?
I honestly, even if Howell went out there and threw for like 450, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and ran for 75 yards and a touchdown, I still, like, you got to see more. You see all the time a young quarterback go in there and tear it up early on because they have no film on him, and it is what it is. So I don't think he can do anything to solidify like 110%. This guy is the starting quarterback going forward. But if he were to go out there and play like that and do well, and then say in the preseason or training camp, early on in camp, he's still lighting it up, then I think you could say. But it's going to take a little bit more than one game, I would imagine.
Your dick is out. Because right now I will say.
How did you know that?
I'll say, because Sam Howell would be quarterback one if he came in and put up 4 touchdowns. Like, that's not something that we are used to here at the quarterback position. Going against the playoff
you're
team,
just saying, but I'm just saying. Maybe I sized it.
You did size it. But look. That would be awesome, and I think that would be something that would be really cool. That being said, this is going to be a tough matchup. This is a rookie quarterback, and obviously this is a team game, but he's going to have to – for me to solidify number one is obviously having a big touchdown and winning the game, but also controlling it, hitting your layups, being able to really run the offense. I don't want to see Sam Howell be overwhelmed. I don't want to see him running for his life like his hair's on fire when Micah Parsons is trying to grab his butt, try to put some in it. I want him to be able to just sit in the pocket. You didn't get that?
No, I did. I liked it. I was just,
that one. But I just need to get the ball out to your wide receivers, your playmakers, get the ball into their hands, and just execute the offense. I'm not looking for him to put up 4 touchdowns, but I will say if he did, I'm not going to lie to you. I'd be looking at him saying number one.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say so a little bit, but that's really the best thing he can do. Like we talked about earlier, is just go out there and show that he can do things that you can build on. He goes out there, he converts third downs, he makes the right decision. He doesn't throw. If he throws interceptions, it's not necessarily his fault. Maybe it's batted balls, maybe it's something tipped. But you just don't want him to go out there and just completely screw up the easy things that a quarterback's supposed to do, because I think you'd feel a lot more confident of him like if he just throws it deep every play. That's kind of like, okay, man, what are you doing here? But there's a lot that you could see from Sam Howell, and it could go numerous ways.
Yeah, the last thing that we want to do is Sam Howell come in, throw a bunch of picks, fumble a bunch of times, and looking insane out there. Like, that's where like it would go to Arch's point, saying that maybe that screws with his psyche a little bit, but hopefully that does not happen. This next question is from Orange Crush 92, and this is a great great question. We already talked about this gentleman before. Is running back a draft need next year? We have Robinson and Gibson, but Robinson has been converting to a passing back, and Robinson has been excelling as a bell cow. What about our power back in short yardage situations? Could that be a reason as to why Scott Turner decided to throw on 3rd and short so much?
That's interesting. Yeah, because I mean, you're right. I think originally, remember, we thought Antonio Gibson was going to be the guy. Brian Robinson was going to go in there and just kind of be the short yardage back. But it's kind of Brian Robinson's been the guy. Antonio Gibson has kind of, like you talked about, kind of developed into more of a third down back. But I also think that that's kind of out of necessity with J.D. McKissick being out. So I could see them taking a flyer on a running back late, or maybe like a short yardage guy in free agency. But I don't think it's too high up there. But at the same time, when it gets to the middle, late rounds of the draft, they're not really drafting for need at that point. They're just kind of drafting the best player that they see that could possibly go in there and produce. So I could see them definitely taking a running back. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think you need a running back at this stage. I really respect Jonathan Williams a lot, but I do think you need to draft a guy, and somebody that I really liked, even though I love Virginia Tech, was Khalil Herbert. I wanted you to draft a running back so that could do everything, just in case if this sort of situation comes up where he's not just a situational runner, where the defense knows what you're doing when he's on the field. Get a guy that can do everything as your third. That way it can help out with a lot. That being said, with the power back situation, that is one of the biggest head scratchers for me. Because, like, the floor for Brian Robinson coming in here as a rookie was he's your short yardage back. That's the least that he could do. Now, could he do more? Of course, and he did. But the fact is, he still took him off the field for their short yardage situations because he was the bell cow. You know what I mean? So It's like, why is he? That should be the start. And then incorporate him more and more and more. But he should be garnering those short yardage situations 10 out of 10 times. The defense is going to be keying in on that. Just hit play action of it because they know that's what you want to do. But it just seems like everything is so hard.
Yeah. No, it is. It's one of those things where it's a lot easier said than done. Like we know what needs to be done. We know what we need. But are they going to do that come draft time? Who knows? Who knows what they're going to do.
I would have liked to see some creativity in short yardage situations. I would have liked to see Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen line up at fullback. Something cool. Just
Jay Gruden out there catching a screen pass from Jim Zorn.
No, Jay Gruden running out there and getting the kick, the kicking tee off the field.
With a cigarette in his mouth, saying, "Oh man, how about that Micah Parsons, huh?
I had a better record."
Yeah. Oh man, my brother, man. Oh man.
My brother, my man, oh man. No, I do think their running back is definitely on the list for next year. The crazy thing is there's a lot of positions of need for them that when you look at this team, because you need linebacker depth. You need a legitimate number one cornerback, and you need depth behind it. And then
you need O-line, you need quarterback. Yeah.
And then possibly a tight end as well.
Yeah, I was about to say tight end. That's another one. If you lose Deron Payne, are you going to invest in a third defensive tackle too?
Right. And this is where it kind of brings me into the talk of saying, like, I don't like the talk of trading up for a quarterback if it's like the third quarterback in there, because it's like, is this team built to withstand that? And what I don't want to have happen is the same situation that happened with RG3, where he gets in here and obviously not the injury part, but the fact that in his second year, he's complaining that the offensive line sucks and can't protect him like Aaron Rodgers is protected. And it's like, wait, dude, we traded a bunch for you. We couldn't get those pieces because we went to go get you. So you better be able to produce without them, essentially. Right. And that's like my problem with it is that's a lot to ask of a young man. And that's why I don't want to make that trade up with the glaring issues that are here.
Right. I will say after watching the last 2 years of him playing, I haven't dove completely deep in him, but I'm just going to say it. I'm going to get a lot of hate.
You'd love to go deep in him.
Yeah, I would. I do like Will Levis. I really do like Will Levis a lot. And look, I know that he didn't do good last year. Then he had all these expectations. He also was he was playing hurt the entire year, which is interesting. I didn't know that. He also lost a lot of offensive linemen, lost a lot of weapons. That dude has some of the most natural ability you've ever seen in your life. He's very comparable to Matthew Stafford and or Josh Allen in a way. And so he's somebody that I think he's going to go a lot higher than people think. But I would love to take a flyer on him because I think with these weapons it would be fun to see. But hey, I'm just getting ahead of myself. So
yeah. And last thing I wanted to say before we get out of here, dude, the Washington defense Do you remember last season? What was one of the biggest issues heading into this season from the defense?
Third down.
They're first in the league in third down percentage.
Was that really what you were going to say?
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle. I knew that.
See, I help you out, but it's not reciprocated.
Yeah, no, you do. I do most of the groundwork, but like you, yeah, thank you.
No, but I think that's really cool, man. And congratulations to them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Shout out to Jack Del Rio. That's a huge turnaround.
They lost Cole Holcomb. Obviously, John Bostic went on
He was
IR.
Pissed off about that Capitol building, man. So he was like, never again.
You're so stupid. But no, congratulations to them. That's really cool because that's something they do deserve, and they did a really good job at it. They're 5th in passing yards, 7th in red zone conversion percentage. Defense stepped up this year. They held up as much as they possibly could. And at times, they did get hurt a little here and there, but I really like the direction of where they are. I know that everyone is saying that this is mediocre. It's a mediocre team. Never said it was a mediocre team. They got mediocre results. But the fact is, when in the past 20 years have we been comfortable with a 3-game lead over and going into the playoffs, right? That's not something that I'm used to. That's not something you're used to. And obviously that got squandered away. And we can argue to the cows come home about why it was squandered away. But the fact is, that is the step in the right direction. Is it the end goal? No, absolutely not. But the fact is, they've gotten to that point, and now they have to go to that next level. Can Ron Rivera be able to get them to a championship? I think it can, but I think next year is the true indicator.
Yeah, and look, I would also like to point out that before the season, I made a claim that Jamin Davis would not be the weakest link of this defense. I said that if he was, I will give you guys my social security number. I will allow you guys to garnish my wages, and I will do the podcast naked from here on out. And Jamin Davis was not the weakest link to this podcast, so you all have to send me about $400 each. So thank you guys for listening, and thank you for that, because Jamin Davis was a bright spot.
He was indeed, and I think that Jamin did a hell of a job this year, man.
Yeah,
I think John Bostic deserves a lot more of credit as well. I think John showed up when it was an emergency situation, and he wasn't like, obviously he did get beat on some like crossers,
but you definitely understood why they've kept him around for so long after.
Remember, I kept saying, I was like, why aren't we signing John Bostic just to have him as depth? He's not starting. I know we all like to talk crap about John Bostic, but he knows the system. He's a good run filler. That's what you need him for, man. And I'm glad they made that decision because it was the right one. It helped when we needed it, but obviously he got injured and put on our IR. I've heard that he's a very, very, very nice guy.
Yeah, he seems like a nice guy. Him and Mark Tyler.
Yeah, definitely don't know who that is. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap us up for this episode. Do you have a score prediction for this game?
I don't even want to say it because I'm going to get embarrassed, but Dallas 21, Washington 69.
Nice. I'm not really sure if I have a score prediction for this game. I'll say 34-31. Washington wins.
There you go. Mine is 69. Sam Howell throws for 10 touchdowns. However, we miss one extra point. Joey Sly misses it.
It gets cut after the game.
So we get 69,
Yeah, do you know that Dallas, like, they're flipping out over Dak Prescott? He's going to get paid $43 million next year.
Dude, Dak, look, this has also been a weird season where like the league lead for interceptions is only 14, which is like there's years where quarterbacks do 28 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. That was a good year. Like It was like for a long time. That's
You're
how
right
it was.
About that. You're absolutely right
weird.
About that.
Yeah, so far through 16 games, 14 interceptions, Derek Carr and Dak Prescott. And that's the most anybody's started in the NFL. It's kind of odd, but of course Cooper Rush going out there and playing well. That, of course, didn't turn out well. But you guys, stop. There's no competition between Dak and Cooper Rush. Dak Prescott is the guy in Dallas, and he deserves to be. Dak is still a good player. He was hurt a lot this year. He's going to be fine. Everybody just calm down. Of course, I hope he's not. But
do you remember when we interviewed Commissioner Yaz on here?
Loved it, yes.
You mean Yaz?
Yeah, well, you kept calling her Yas. Yeah, you kept saying, all right, Yas. Yas, because her name's Y-A-S.
She asked about the division, and I said, I was like, I could
Thanks for the question, Yas.
I could see that quarterback controversy rearing its ugly head throughout the season and everything, and It transpired because honestly, 22 touchdowns and 14 interceptions, like that's something you'd feel good about over here. Like their offense, they're
right.
second in red zone conversion percentage. They're second in points per game. They're third in third down conversion percentage. This is why Cowboys fans don't deserve nice things. They don't know what to do with it.
Somebody brought this up in the Discord. I think it was you. They did the same thing with Tony Romo, and Tony Romo was playing fantastic all the time. It was always, let's wait and see who's next, and we went next. And to be fair, that's how it is everywhere, unless you have Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
Really,
and I think that's the one thing that our fan base doesn't really understand. Because, like, my whole mindset is this team was built on the history of a juggernaut that, over a decade, that was able to be interchangeable with 3 different quarterbacks. And that is probably the most foolproof plan you could have in the NFL, is building a team big enough and good enough to the point where you can plug in a quarterback who's ambitious and takes advantage of the situation and do something with it. And that's what I feel like should be the path that we go down. Because I just feel like the way that we are here in Washington, the way that things go, we could get prime Tom Brady and he would break his leg.
We would.
You know what I mean?
Somehow, 100%.
And like that's where I don't want to bank on that, because once we do get that guy, it's no guarantee it's going to stay. So why not build a team strong enough to the point where it doesn't matter if you need a guy like that?
Yeah,
But
it's also
obviously,
different nowadays
very hard to do.
with free agency and stuff. And so, that sucks. But yeah, I think Gibbs, I've never understood why Gibbs doesn't get more national credit for what he did.
My examples for this are like the Seahawks, the Broncos with Peyton Manning. Before that, Joe Flacco with the Ravens. The Steelers in the mid-2000s were the same way with Big Ben. Built a juggernaut to the point where you could plug in a rookie, somebody, a journeyman, and they would do well for you. And that's like kind of my thought process here, but you need time to be able to do that here. And obviously that's not something that this coaching staff has the luxury of.
Yeah, the good thing is you got to hit on your late round draft picks to do that, to kind of build depth all over your team. They've been doing a good job of that. This coaching staff, for as much as people want to hate on them in this front office, they've done a good job in the draft. I don't care what you guys say. You're all wrong.
I argue with the dude on Twitter today, and dude, it made me laugh because he got angry, but it made me laugh because he said, he was like, I know, man, I'm a realist. And he starts listing all these things. Then at the bottom, he's like, they all suck. It's like, how can you say you're a realist, but then say they all suck?
Right.
You're a pessimist, my friend. All right.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Let's sign another William Jackson. That's the one thing everybody brings up. And we struck out on that one.
And it's going to be Wentz, too, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, yeah. Now it will. Yeah.
Like I've said many times, the William Jackson third thing. The William Jackson third thing. You guys could talk to the cows come home that he was not put in the right system. In the NFL, you have to play zone and man, okay? Yeah. The fact is, the dude got the bag and he chilled. That's what happened. And so let's call a spade a spade.
I didn't realize this after, I think it was Yaz, talking about her again, who told us this. Yaz.
There we go.
Who told us that apparently, because she's a Cincy fan, that apparently William Jackson was kind of known as a kind of a headache over there in Cincy. I didn't know that.
So based off what she said when we interviewed her, the gist was that basically he talked crap about like Cincinnati and the fans after he left. And it was kind of like, why would you do that kind of thing? Yeah. Weird stuff. But you kind of can see it over here, man, to be perfectly honest. I remember somebody in the Discord chats ever made a comment that William Jackson III, might have said something to Benjamin St. Just, like something about being Canadian or French or something like that.
I don't blame him, though. That is kind of dorky. Come on, man. You can't be Canadian today.
Why? Can you do
Because that's Drake's Canadian.
Yeah, but Jordan Peterson is Canadian. He's cool, man.
Where would we be without men? They've built everything. They've built the septic systems. They've built men. Where would we be without men?
All right, everybody.
It just brings me to tears.
We'll see you guys on Monday. Have a safe, great weekend. We got a loaded, busy week next week for you guys. So hopefully we'll be able to do it in a celebratory setting where we are kind of talking about the craziness of somehow making it into the playoffs. I wouldn't be complaining, even though it'd be a handout. I wouldn't be complaining. That's all I'm saying.
Prediction, Sam Howell wins this game. Seattle loses. We go into the playoffs. Sam Howell brings us on a tear, and we get all the way to the Super Bowl. At the Super Bowl press conference, the media week leading up to it, Ron Rivera announces that Carson Wentz is going to start because we need a big arm against the Kansas City Chiefs, in which case we lose, 112 to 7. And then Ron Rivera says, I didn't know we could lose a Super Bowl if we lost. I'm so sorry, guys. And
I thought we
that's
kept
what
playing.
happens.
Can you stop making it? Because people are going
It's
to
just
believe
funny.
that.
I know,
You
it's
that?
just funny. I love Ron. I'm the biggest Ron backer there
Can
is.
we,
I think
like,
Ron
let's
should
be
get another
honest
2
about
years,
that
but
situation.
It's just funny. It's funny.
Look, I've always been a fan of Grant Paulson. Hall's always been a fan of Grant Paulson. But I think
Keith has been a huge fan of Grant Paulson as well.
I think we all understand that Rivera is probably embarrassed, probably felt vulnerable, and was probably pissed off after that game. And when Grant asked him that question, he was probably being a smartass by saying,
I hope so,
we
yeah.
can lose? Like, that kind of thing is what, like, that's how I interpreted it. Obviously,
I hope so.
that could
Yeah,
be
'cause-
moved around because they can't come out and say that Rivera was being a smartass to the media because he doesn't really care for it. You know what I mean? Like, they can't come out and say that. So that's just how I viewed it. But
Yes. You know who wouldn't do that? Dr. Jordan Peterson.
all right, everybody. We'll see you on Monday. If you made it this far, you're a champion. I owe you a high five or something. I don't know.
And a kiss.
A Reed high five is what Reed will give you, and we'll explain what a Reed high five is later. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great, safe weekend. If you're going to the game on Sunday, good luck to you. You know, I had a chance to go, but unfortunately, we're celebrating Christmas with my mom this weekend. Just schedules haven't matched up, and so the one time I get offered free tickets, I'm like, I have to celebrate Christmas on Sunday. Dude.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's okay.
I
It's going to be awesome. Obviously, I'm looking forward to it. It's just, I would have liked to gone down with the ship. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I know. I would have went, but I have a life.
Don't lie to us.
No, I don't. Yeah, no,
Don't
I'm
insult my
just serious. I
intelligence.
would have liked to have gone. But,
No, but everyone, have fun at the game this weekend. Good luck. Try to be on your best behavior. People are going to try to get under your skin. They're going to run their mouth to you. They're going to talk about how much we suck. They're going to talk about everything possible. Just don't do anything to get yourself in trouble. Don't just help somebody out if you see them bleeding or something. Cowboys fans start yelling at each other over nachos or something. You don't know.
Yeah.
The way their weirdos are. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Monday. I'm Kyle.
And Dr. Jordan Peterson.
Washington football. Woo!
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching, and if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!